So Celine's song proves not to just be a flash in the pan. Where Past Lives was a beautiful movie about, to make it sound funny, a guy who gets friend zoned, although it's way more about that. Materialists is another love story that is wonderfully unconventional, but it's also a little conventional towards the last 30 minutes. The film is about a woman named Lucy. She's a New York City matchmaker. She's played by Dakota Johnson, by the way. She's a New York City matchmaker who hooks up women and men, but from what you mostly see in the movie, women, with rich white businessmen, or not just businessmen. They could be all sorts of, as long as they're rich and white. So she sets them up with rich, white, good-looking guys, and the movie's about our materialistic values, as you can guess from the title. And the character of Lucy herself is not materialistic, and she even despises the organization that she works for, but at the same time she has a passion for it. But that changes, somewhere along the film. I don't want to give it away. She, during a wedding party for a client of hers that ends up getting married, where there's a big celebration for her client getting married to someone she set her up with, there's this big wedding, and she meets this financier named Harry, played by Pedro Pascal, who Lucy ends up falling in love with. At the same time, she also runs into her boyfriend, who's a busboy, who's broke, who she broke up with, who's broke. And by the way, Harry, Pedro Pascal, I think I said that. And then John, her ex-boyfriend, is played by Chris Evans, in case I end up calling the actors by their real names. So she has this entangled relationship between her broke ex-boyfriend and this rich financier. And at first, you start to think maybe this financier is a good guy. He stands up for all the values that she believes in despite his enormous income. But if you're watching the movie and you're looking at Pedro Pascal's cold demeanor when he's talking to Lucy, you could tell there's something up with him. And the movie, I really like how brutally honest it is. It's really about not just rich people looking for other rich people, but it's about people in general holding enormous standards and unrealistic expectations when it comes to the opposite sex, whether it's men or women. Although the movie specifically kind of targets women, the movie also goes after men. There's one scene where a client calls up Lucy and he tells her that he wasn't happy with the clients that she hooked him up with because they were ugly, or at least one of them was. It was something like that. And the movie really works because of how honest it is and how it really is talking about how we, have unrealistic standards. Most men who look like me are aiming for women who are thin and have great bodies and all that other stuff. But of course, we also want them to have a brain and all that, or at least some men do. Other men, they just want someone who's hot so they can parade around with their trophy wife. And of course, women usually want very wealthy, tall, good-looking the guys. And that's not always a realistic expectation depending on where you are. And I think a lot of times in life we end up compromising and settling with someone who we truly love. And I'd say the ending, it was, for as unformulaic as the movie was and how subversive it was, the ending felt a little too Hollywood. It was Hollywood, but with an indie spin. It had the slow cinema spin to it. Also, the camera work, Celine's song really knows how to nail that. She did a great job with Past Lives, where when our two characters are leaving during one pivotal moment of the pivotal scene of the film, there's a long camera shot on them, and it's really it really kind of just shows how together they are, but how separated they are at the same time. This movie has a similar shot where Lucy is sitting at a dinner table with Harry, and they're having dinner, and Harry's checking off all the boxes for things that Lucy's looking for in a man, but at the same time, as she doesn't know it, he's really kind of checking off all of her superficial boxes, but she doesn't want to admit it to herself at the time. And in the shot, it's just this long shot of this beautiful restaurant, as she even says, like, yeah, going to a restaurant for you is normal. For me, it's like this huge thing. And the shot's supposed to resemble how she's sort of getting hypnotized by this whole setting that she rails against. And it's a beautiful shot. And there's other great examples where they use a long take. There's a scene where Lucy's going through some very troubling news in her office, and in the background there's a celebration going on because one of the clients had their one of the dating agents, her client gets married, just like Lucy's did at the beginning of the film, and they're celebrating like they are now, but now it's like completely juxtaposed. So yeah, I would highly recommend it, despite sort of the ending that I wasn't a big fan of. This is a love story unlike any other, and it really shows that Celine Song understands the language of love. She has brilliant dialogue. She's sort of like the Tarantino of love stories. So I'm excited to see more of what comes from her. I gave it 3.5 stars on my website, and you can find the full written review at ypareviews.com.